About 6,500 years ago, this altered environment attracted a second generation of human residents. The newcomers were small game hunters and foragers who subsisted on a diet of deer, wild turkey, fish, shellfish, nuts, and berries. Although they possessed a limited repertoire of tools, their campsite may have been occupied by as many as 200 people at a time. Roughly 2,500 years ago, they discovered the use of the bow and arrow, learned to make pottery, and started to cultivate squash, sunflowers, and possibly tobacco. Later, about 1,000 years ago, they may also have begun to plant beans and maize. These changes supported larger populations. By the time the Europeans arrived on the scene, a mere 500 years ago, what is now New York City had as many as 15,000 inhabitants. Estimates vary wildly, with perhaps another 30 to 50,000 in the adjacent parts of New Jersey, Connecticut, Westchester County, and Long Island. Most spoke Munsee, a dialect of the Delaware language, in which their name for themselves was Lenape, men or people. Their land was Lenape ho King, where the Lenapes dwell. The Lenapes were comprised of a dozen-odd groups living between eastern Connecticut and central New Jersey. To the west were the Raritans of Staten Island and Raritan Bay, the Hackensacks of New Jersey's Hackensack and Raritan River valleys, the Tappans of northern New Jersey, and the Rechkwawanachis, Orange County. Their counterparts and sometime enemies to the east included the Witchquaskeks of northern Manhattan, the Bronx, and Westchester, and the Sawanois along the northern banks of the East River and Long Island Sound as far as the Connecticut line, as well as the Mantinecocks, Massapequas, Rockaways, Merricks, and others of Long Island. Within the 5 boroughs of modern New York alone, archaeologists have identified about 80 Lenape habitation sites, more than 24 planting fields, and the intricate network of paths and trails that laced them all together. On Manhattan, the primary trail ran along the island's hilly spine from what is now Battery Park in the south to Inwood in the north. Just north of City Hall Park, it passed by an encampment near a 60-foot deep pond fed by an underground spring, which together with adjacent meadow and marshlands almost bisected the island. Farther north, where the trail passed Greenwich Village, a secondary path led west to Sappoquanican, a site of fishing and planting on the Hudson River near the foot of Gansevoort Street. At about 98th Street and Park Avenue, the trail ran by a campsite known as Conan de Kong, and, on the broad flats of Harlem just to the north, still more fishing camps and planting fields. From an East River landing at 119th Street, fishermen paddled out in tree-trunk canoes to net or spear striped bass. Its northern terminus was a cluster of 3 camps along the Harlem River, 2 of which now actually lie on the mainland, severed from Manhattan by the Harlem Ship Canal.